The grand chambers of the Galactic Council stretched far beyond what human eyes could easily take in. Commander Jake Morrison stood quietly beside the massive viewing screen aboard the UCS Retribution, watching the alien delegates gather in there, seats like colorful insects drawn to light. His crew waited behind him with nervous energy filling the air around them. Lieutenant Amy Foster kept checking her communication equipment while Chief Engineer Rick Davis wiped sweat from his forehead despite the cool temperature of the bridge. The chamber below looked like something from a fever dream. Creatures with crystal bodies that sparkled like diamonds sat next to beings that looked like walking trees with too many arms. Giant insects with shining black shells clicked their way to their designated spots, while reptilian figures in elaborate robes moved with deadly grace. Each species represented thousands of years of advancement and power that stretched across multiple star systems. Morrison had spent months preparing for this moment. Earth's first formal request to join the galactic community hung in the balance of whatever these beings decided today. The diplomatic package contained everything humanity had to offer: their history, their technology, their peaceful intentions, and their desire to become part of something bigger than their small blue world. The Zephyrian delegate rose first, its crystal form catching light from a dozen different angles. When it spoke, the voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "We have reviewed the submission from the species that calls itself human," it said with what Morrison recognized as barely contained amusement. "Their technological achievements are..." The being paused as if searching for the right words. "Quaint." A ripple of what could only be described as laughter moved through the chamber. The sound came in many forms, clicking from the insect-like Zerathi, hissing from the snake people, a venom prime, and a low rumbling from the bear-like Ursoni delegation. Morrison felt his jaw tighten as he realized where this was heading. The hive queen of the Zerathi species stood next, her forearms gesturing dramatically as she spoke. "These creatures still use primitive projectile weapons," she announced, her mandibles clicking with what was clearly mirth. "They have barely mastered nuclear fusion, and they think they belong among the stars with us." Her laughter was like the sound of breaking glass, sharp and cutting. Morrison watched as more delegates joined in the mockery. The plant-like Verdani swayed in what passed for their version of laughter, while the energy beings from the plasma nebula flickered in patterns that his translation software labeled as extreme amusement. Lieutenant Forster moved closer to him and whispered, "Sir, are they actually laughing at us?" Before Morrison could answer, Chancellor Vexter of the Draknari Empire rose to his full height. The reptilian leader was easily 8 feet tall, with scales that shifted from green to gold in the light. His eyes were the color of fresh blood, and when he smiled, Morrison could see rows of teeth that belonged on a predator from humanity's worst nightmares. "My fellow council members," Vextar began, his voice carrying the authority of someone used to being obeyed without question. "I believe we are being far too kind to these humans." The way he said the word made it sound like something unpleasant he had found on the bottom of his shoe. They are not just technologically primitive, they are laughably weak. The chamber erupted in what Morrison now understood was definitely laughter. The sound hit him like a physical blow, as species after species joined in mocking humanity. The cosmic collective, beings of pure energy, pulsed with colors that his translators said meant ridiculous. The machine intelligence of the steel worlds emitted electronic sounds that somehow conveyed contempt better than words ever could. Chief Davis stepped forward and spoke quietly to Morrison. "Commander, maybe we should just withdraw the application and go home." His voice carried the weight of someone watching his species being humiliated in front of the entire galaxy. Morrison held up his hand for silence as Chancellor Vextar continued speaking. "These humans think they can join us because they have learned to leave their little world and visit their moon," the reptilian leader said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "They believe that building small stations in space makes them worthy of sitting beside civilizations that have conquered entire star systems. The Hive Queen clicked her agreement. They call their fastest ships impressive when they take years to travel between worlds that we cross in days. They speak of their weapons as if bullets and missiles could threaten beings who command the power of stars themselves. Morrison felt Amy Foster's hand tighten on her console as the translation came through. Every word was designed to cut deep, to make humanity seem like children playing dress-up in adult clothing. The message was clear. Humans were nothing more than upright animals who had barely learned to use fire, let alone deserve a place among the truly advanced species of the galaxy. The crystalline Zephyrian spoke again, its voice now carrying open mockery. Perhaps we should tell them about the Kindergarten Alliance, it suggested. That might be more suitable for their level of development. The chamber filled with renewed laughter that seemed to go on forever. Chancellor Vexstar raised his clawed hand for silence. I propose we do something different, he announced. Instead of simply denying their pathetic request, let us offer them a chance to prove themselves worthy. His smile revealed more of those predator teeth. Let them face just one of our patrol fleets in combat. When they are utterly destroyed, the galaxy will see exactly what level of threat humanity truly represents. The vote was quick and unanimous. Every species present agreed that humanity should be given this chance to prove themselves before being rejected. Morrison watched as the formal challenge was prepared, knowing that his diplomatic mission had just become something entirely different. The transmission came through moments later. Chancellor Vexstar's image filled the main screen as he delivered humanity's official response. Commander Morrison, he began, his voice filled with false politeness. The Galactic Council has decided to offer humanity a unique opportunity. Send your strongest warship to face our weakest patrol fleet. If you somehow manage to survive, we will reconsider your application. The laughter that followed was like a knife in Morrison's chest. Of course, Vexstar continued, when you are destroyed, Earth will be quarantined for 1,000 years to prevent any further embarrassment to galactic civilization. The transmission ended, with the chambers still echoing with alien laughter. Morrison stood in the silence that followed, feeling the eyes of his crew on him. Lieutenant Foster broke the quiet first. Sir, what are your orders? Morrison turned away from the screen and looked at each member of his crew. These people had volunteered to represent humanity among the stars. They had trained for years and traveled further from home than any human before them. Now they had been laughed at, mocked, and challenged by beings who saw them as nothing more than amusing primitives. Signal Earth Command, Morrison said quietly. Tell them diplomacy has failed. He paused and looked back at the screen where the alien delegates were still celebrating their clever solution to the human problem. Tell them it's time to show the galaxy what happens when you laugh at humanity. Chief Davis nodded grimly. Aye, sir. Should I prepare the ship for combat? Morrison smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. No, Chief. Prepare the ship to go home. We need to have a very different conversation with our people. He looked around at his crew one more time. Because the galaxy is about to learn something very important about humans. We don't like being laughed at. Admiral Helen Carter stood in the deepest part of the Colorado military complex, 3 miles beneath the surface of the Earth. The room around her contained secrets that most humans would never know existed. Banks of computers hummed quietly, while holographic displays showed star maps that stretched across the galaxy. She had been waiting for this call from Commander Morrison for over 2 decades. The secure communication channel crackled to life as Morrison's face appeared on the main screen. Dark circles under his eyes told the story of the humiliation he had witnessed at the Galactic Council. Admiral, they laughed at us, he said simply. They mocked everything we are and everything we've built. Carter nodded slowly. She had expected this outcome from the moment humanity decided to make contact with alien civilizations. How long do we have before they expect your response to their challenge? 72 hours, Morrison replied. They want us to send our strongest warship against what they call their weakest patrol fleet. It's designed to be impossible, Admiral. They want to destroy us publicly, to show the galaxy that humans are nothing but a joke. Carter walked to the sealed door at the far end of the room and placed her palm on the scanner. The heavy metal barrier slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a corridor that extended deeper into the earth. Commander, I'm going to show you something that will change your perspective on this challenge. Dr. Marcus Bell, please join us. A tall man with gray hair and tired eyes entered the room. Dr. Bell had spent the last 30 years of his life working on projects that officially did not exist. His security clearance was so high that only a handful of people on Earth even knew his name. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of knowledge that few humans could comprehend. Commander Morrison, Dr. Bell began. What I'm about to tell you must never leave this room until Admiral Carter gives you permission. For the past century, humanity has been preparing for exactly this moment. Morrison's image on the screen showed confusion. I don't understand. Doctor, we only made first contact with alien life 15 years ago. Carter stepped forward. No, Commander. We made first contact 93 years ago. A damaged alien scout ship crashed in the Pacific Ocean in 1932. The crew died on impact, but their technology survived. We learned that the galaxy was full of advanced civilizations who viewed young species like humanity as either resources to be exploited or threats to be eliminated. Dr. Bell activated a holographic display that showed the wreckage of a ship unlike anything humans had ever built. Its metal seemed to bend light around it, while strange symbols covered every surface. This vessel taught us that our assumptions about physics were laughably primitive. While we celebrated our first atomic weapons, alien children were playing with toys that could manipulate matter at the molecular level. The implications hit Morrison immediately. You've been reverse engineering their technology for almost a century. Not just reverse engineering, Carter corrected. We've been improving on it. Human scientists have a particular talent for taking existing concepts and pushing them far beyond their original limitations. While aliens developed energy shields, we learned to phase matter itself out of normal space-time. While they created plasma weapons, we built devices that convinced the universe that the target never existed in the first place. Dr. Bell brought up another display showing technical specifications that made Morrison's eyes widen. The UCS Retribution, Commander, is not the exploration vessel you think it is. Neither are any of the other ships in our fleet. Every human vessel that has left our solar system in the past 50 years has been equipped with technology that would terrify the species who just laughed at you. Carter walked to a wall covered with photographs of various spacecraft. Each image showed vessels that looked exactly like the peaceful exploration ships humanity had been using for decades. We learned early that showing our true capabilities would either make us targets or turn us into weapons for alien empires. So we decided to appear weak while we grew strong. The quantum torpedo arrays hidden in your cargo bays, Dr. Bell continued, don't just explode. They rewrite the fundamental laws of physics in a localized area, making it impossible for matter to maintain its current form. Your defensive systems don't deflect incoming weapons. They convince reality that the attacks are happening in a different dimension entirely. Morrison leaned back in his chair, clearly struggling to process what he was hearing. How is any of this possible? Our scientists barely understand some of these concepts. Carter smiled grimly. Commander, you're thinking like someone who grew up believing that faster-than-light travel was impossible. We've had nearly a century to study technology from a dozen different alien species. Not all of their ships that visited our system were as lucky as they thought. Some of them never made it home. The wall behind Carter slid away to reveal a massive chamber filled with alien spacecraft in various stages of disassembly. Each vessel represented a different species and a different set of technological capabilities that human scientists had dissected and understood. We've been very careful to make these disappearances look like accidents or equipment failures. The galaxy thinks we're primitive, but we've been studying them for longer than some of their civilizations have existed. Dr. Bell activated another display showing the true specifications of the UCS Retribution. Your ship, Commander, is capable of destroying entire fleets without taking damage. The reality displacement drives can move you through space in ways that make conventional tactics useless. Your weapons can target enemies in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Morrison stared at the technical readouts in disbelief. Why wasn't I told any of this? Why does my crew think we're flying a simple exploration vessel? Because, Carter replied, the greatest weapon humanity has developed is not our technology. It's our ability to appear harmless while we prepare for war. Your genuine reactions to the alien mockery were perfect because they were real. No one can fake the kind of humiliation you experience today. Double quotes. Dr. Bell nodded in agreement. Every human ship captain and crew believes they are flying peaceful exploration vessels. Their surprise and anger at alien aggression is completely authentic. When the time comes to reveal our true capabilities, the galaxy will face humans who are not just technologically superior, but emotionally motivated to prove their worth. Carter walked back to the communication console. Commander, I'm going to upload the real specifications for your vessel to your personal files. You'll have access to weapon systems and defensive capabilities that the aliens cannot even imagine. But more importantly, you'll have something they don't expect. What's that, Admiral? A crew that has been genuinely insulted and is ready to show the galaxy exactly what humans are capable of when we stop pretending to be weak. Carter's smile was cold and sharp. The Draknari Empire challenged you to prove humanity's worth. What they don't realize is that they've given us permission to demonstrate why underestimating humans is a fatal mistake. Morrison straightened in his chair as understanding dawned on him. You want me to accept their challenge? I want you to do more than accept it, Carter replied. I want you to make sure that when this battle is over, every species in the galaxy understands one simple truth. Humanity is not a joke. We are the predators they never saw coming. Dr. Bell began transferring files to Morrison's ship. Commander, your crew is about to discover that their exploration vessel is actually the most advanced warship in known space. The aliens who laughed at human primitive weapons are about to face technology that treats the laws of physics as suggestions rather than rules. Carter looked directly at Morrison through the screen. The galaxy wanted to see what humanity is truly capable of. We're about to give them a demonstration they will never forget. When you return from this battle, Commander, it won't be as a representative of a species begging for acceptance. You'll be coming back as the herald of a new galactic power. Morrison nodded slowly, his expression changing from confused to determined. What are my orders, Admiral? Go show them what happens when you make humanity angry, Carter replied. And Commander, make sure the entire galaxy is watching when you do it. The Galactic Council chamber had not seen this level of excitement in centuries. Word of the human challenge had spread across dozens of star systems faster than most species could travel between worlds. Representatives from civilizations that rarely involved themselves in council affairs had requested viewing access to watch what many considered would be the most one-sided battle in galactic history. Chancellor Vextar stood at his podium with barely contained anticipation. The reptilian leader had spent decades building his reputation as the most feared military commander in the Draknari Empire. His Black Wing Squadron had conquered 17 systems without losing a single vessel. The idea of facing a lone human ship was so absurd that he had initially considered it an insult to his honor. Fellow council members, Vextar announced to the packed chamber, I have received humanity's official response to our generous offer. His forked tongue flicked out to taste the air, a sign of excitement among his species. Commander Morrison, has formally accepted our challenge and specifically requested to face the Black Wing Squadron." The chamber erupted in a mixture of gasps and laughter. The Zephyrian delegate's crystalline form flickered with colors that translated as amazement. They actually want to fight Vexta's fleet. Do they understand that the Black Wing Squadron has never been defeated? The Hive Queen of the Zerathi clicked her mandibles in what passed for disbelief among her species. Perhaps these humans do not understand the difference between their primitive weapons and real military power. Should we explain to them what plasma cannons can do to their metal hulls? Admiral Tony Rodriguez, Vextar's second-in-command, stepped forward from his position behind the Chancellor's podium. The reptilian officer's scales had taken on the deep green color that indicated extreme confidence. "My lord, perhaps we should assign a training squadron to this task, instead of the Black Wing. It seems wasteful to use our elite forces against such an insignificant opponent." Vextar raised his clawed hand for silence. "No, Admiral Rodriguez. These humans have issued a formal challenge to our Empire's honor. We will respond with our finest warriors to ensure there can be no question about the outcome." His blood-red eyes scanned the chamber. "When this battle is over, every species in the galaxy will understand exactly where humanity ranks in the order of civilization." The massive viewing screen activated to show Commander Morrison's face as his transmission began. The human looked calm and composed, despite the magnitude of what he was proposing. "Chancellor Vextar, the United Earth Command has authorized me to accept your challenge on behalf of humanity." Morrison's voice carried across the silent chamber with surprising steadiness. "We request that this engagement take place in the Kepler 442 system, neutral space that will allow fair combat conditions for both sides. The UCS Retribution will arrive at the designated coordinates in exactly 72 hours. The human commander paused and looked directly into the camera with an expression that several council members found unsettling. "We also request that this battle be broadcast live to all member species of the Galactic Council. Humanity wants there to be no doubt about the outcome of this engagement." The transmission ended with Morrison's image fading from the screen. The chamber remained silent for several long moments as the implications of his words sank in. The humans were not just accepting an impossible challenge. They were requesting that their destruction be witnessed by the entire galaxy. Vextar's laughter broke the silence. The sound started as a low rumble in his throat and built into something that made several smaller species step back from their seats. "Did you hear that? They want everyone to watch as we destroy them. These humans truly are as stupid as they are primitive." Admiral Rodriguez activated his personal communication device to contact the Black Wing Squadron. "Attention all ship commanders. We have received a combat assignment that will likely be concluded before most of you finish your morning meal. Prepare for immediate departure to the Kepler 442 system." The responses came back immediately from the 5 heavy cruiser captains under Rodriguez's command. Each vessel in the Black Wing Squadron was a masterpiece of Drachnary engineering, capable of engaging multiple enemy fleets simultaneously. Their plasma cannons could melt through the hulls of most known spacecraft, while their quantum shields had never been penetrated by enemy fire. Captain Zara Voss, of the flagship Bloodfang, expressed what every member of the squadron was thinking. "Admiral, are we really being deployed against a single human exploration vessel? My weapons officer is concerned that our targeting systems might not be calibrated for such a small and insignificant target." Rodriguez's reply carried across all squadron channels. "Captain Voss, you will treat this engagement with the full seriousness that any combat operation deserves. These humans may be primitive, but they have somehow convinced themselves they can face the finest warriors in the galaxy. We will demonstrate the folly of their arrogance in a manner that serves as an example to any other species that might consider challenging Drachnary supremacy." News of the upcoming battle spread throughout galactic civilization within hours. Species that had never shown interest in military conflicts requested viewing access to witness what historians were already calling the shortest war in recorded history. The Cosmic Collective offered to provide real-time tactical analysis, while the Steel Worlds proposed to calculate the exact duration of the engagement down to microseconds. On the UCS Retribution, Lieutenant Amy Foster monitored the flood of communications traffic between various alien species. "Commander, it looks like half the galaxy is planning to watch this battle. Some of them are taking bets on how long we'll survive." Chief Engineer Rick Davis looked up from his console with a grim smile. "What are the odds they're giving us?" Foster checked her translation software. "The best odds I can find are 10,000. 2-1 against us lasting more than 5 minutes. Most betting pools are measuring our survival time in seconds rather than minutes." Morrison nodded as he reviewed the tactical files Admiral Carter had transmitted to his personal database. The real specifications of his ship were so far beyond what he had imagined that he was still struggling to accept them as genuine. "Chief Davis, how long will it take to bring all systems to full operational status?" Davis consulted the new technical manuals that had appeared in his engineering database. "Sir, according to these specifications, the ship has been operating at about 2% of actual capability since we launched. Bringing the quantum torpedo arrays online will take about 6 hours. The reality displacement systems need another 4 hours to reach full power." Morrison looked around the bridge at his crew. These people had volunteered to explore the galaxy in the name of peace and scientific advancement. Now they were about to become warriors in a conflict that would determine humanity's place among the stars. "I want everyone to understand what we're walking into. The aliens who laughed at us expect this to be a simple execution. They believe they're about to demonstrate human weakness to the entire galaxy." Foster turned from her communications station. "Sir, what they don't know is that they're about to get a very different kind of demonstration." Morrison smiled as he activated the ship's intercom system to address the entire crew. "Attention all hands, this is the captain speaking. In 72 hours, we will engage enemy forces in the Kepler 442 system. This will not be the diplomatic mission we originally planned. This will be humanity's introduction to galactic civilization." He paused to let that sink in before continuing. "For the past century, our species has been preparing for this moment without most of us knowing it. The ship you think you know is about to become something entirely different. The galaxy expects us to die quickly and quietly to prove that humans don't belong among the stars." Morrison's voice hardened as he delivered his final words. "Instead, we're going to teach every species watching this battle a lesson they will never forget. We're going to show them what happens when you underestimate humanity. All stations, prepare for combat operations. We have a reputation to build." The UCS Retribution changed course toward the Kepler 442 system as hidden weapon. Systems began powering up throughout the ship. In the depths of space, 5 Draknari heavy cruisers were making the same journey with crews confident that they were about to participate in target practice rather than actual combat. The galaxy was about to witness the birth of a new power. Though only one side of the coming battle understood what was really about to happen. The Kepler 442 system had never hosted a battle of galactic significance. 3 barren planets orbited a yellow star, while asteroid fields drifted through space like scattered debris from some ancient collision. Now this forgotten corner of the galaxy was about to become the stage for an engagement that would reshape the balance of power among the stars. Admiral Tony Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Bloodfang as his Black Wing squadron emerged from their hyperspace jump in perfect formation. 5 heavy cruisers spread across several thousand kilometers of space, their hulls gleaming with fresh war paint and ceremonial markings. Each vessel was a monument to Draknari engineering, bristling with plasma cannons and missile tubes that could reduce planets to glowing slag. Tactical report. Rodriguez commanded, as his officers took their positions around the bridge. The excitement in the air was almost tangible as seasoned warriors prepared for what they expected to be the easiest victory of their careers. Captain Zara Voss spoke from her position at the tactical station. "Admiral, all ships report ready for combat. Weapon systems are fully charged, and shield generators are operating at maximum efficiency. We have enough firepower online to destroy 100 human ships." Rodriguez nodded with satisfaction. "And how many human ships do our sensors detect?" "Just one, sir," came the reply from the sensor operator. "A single vessel approximately 1 kilometer in length. Hull composition appears to be standard human alloys with no exotic materials detected. No energy signatures that would indicate advanced shielding or weapon systems." The Admiral walked to the main viewing screen as the UCS Retribution became visible in the distance. The human ship looked exactly like the intelligence reports had described. A basic exploration vessel with simple lines and no obvious weapon emplacements. It hung motionless in space, like a metal coffin waiting to be filled. "Signal the human vessel," Rodriguez ordered. "I want to give their commander one final opportunity to surrender and spare his crew an unnecessary death." The communication channel opened to reveal Commander Morrison's face on the main screen. The human looked remarkably calm for someone facing impossible odds. His crew was visible behind him, going about their duties with the same casual efficiency they might show during a routine patrol. Admiral Rodriguez Morrison said with a slight nod of acknowledgement, "I appreciate your concern for my crew's welfare, but we must respectfully decline your offer to surrender." Rodriguez studied the human commander's expression for any sign of fear or desperation. Instead, he saw only quiet determination and something that might have been anticipation. "Commander Morrison, surely you understand that this engagement can have only one possible outcome. My squadron has destroyed fleets 10 times larger than your single ship." Morrison's reply was brief and delivered without emotion. "Admiral, I understand your confidence in your forces. However, I believe you may be operating under some misconceptions about human capabilities. We are prepared to proceed with this engagement." The communication ended with Morrison's image fading from the screen. Rodriguez stared at the blank display for several moments, puzzled by the human's attitude. Most species facing certain destruction would beg for mercy, or at least attempt to negotiate better terms. The complete lack of fear in Morrison's manner was unsettling. "All ships, assume attack formation, Delta 7, Rodriguez commanded. We will demonstrate proper military tactics even against such inferior opposition. Captain Voss, begin the engagement." With a standard bombardment pattern, the 5 Drakneri cruisers spread into an enveloping formation designed to trap their target in a crossfire that would make escape impossible. Plasma cannons swiveled toward the human ship, while torpedo tubes loaded their most powerful warheads. The tactical display showed the UCS Retribution as a small red dot surrounded by overwhelming firepower. "Commence firing," Rodriguez ordered. The first volley lit up space with streams of superheated plasma and quantum torpedoes. The combined firepower of the Blackwing Squadron could have cracked a moon's surface or boiled away a planet's atmosphere. Sensor readings showed the weapons converging on the human ship with perfect accuracy. Then something impossible happened. The plasma beams and missiles passed completely through the space where the UCS Retribution should have been, continuing harmlessly into the void beyond. The human ship remained exactly where it had been, apparently untouched by weapons that should have vaporized it instantly. "Sensor malfunction," Rodriguez barked at his technical crew. "Recalibrate targeting systems, and fire again." The second volley produced the same result. Weapons that had never missed their intended targets seemed to be firing at empty space, despite clear visual confirmation that the human ship was directly in their path. The tactical displays showed successful weapon deployment, but the target remained completely undamaged. Captain Voss turned from her station with confusion written across her reptilian features. Admiral, our weapons are functioning perfectly. The plasma beams are reaching the target coordinates exactly as programmed. But somehow they're not making contact with the human vessel. On the bridge of the UCS Retribution, Lieutenant Amy Foster calmly reported the status of their defensive systems. Reality displacement field is operating at optimal parameters. Commander, enemy weapons are being redirected to parallel dimensions, where our ship doesn't exist. Chief Engineer Rick Davis looked up from his newly activated console with wonder in his eyes. Sir, these systems are incredible. We're not dodging their attacks or blocking them. We're convincing the universe that we're somewhere else entirely. Morrison nodded as he watched the Draknari ships fire volley after volley at his vessel without effect. Lieutenant Kevin Park, are our offensive systems ready? Park turned from the weapon station that had been hidden behind false panels for the entire mission. Quantum torpedo arrays are fully charged and ready for deployment, sir. Matter disruptors are online and targeting solutions are locked. Morrison activated the ship's communication system to address his crew. All hands, this is the captain. For the past several minutes, enemy forces have been attempting to destroy us with conventional weapons. They are about to discover that humanity has moved far beyond conventional warfare. He looked around the bridge at faces that showed a mixture of amazement and determination. These people had volunteered to represent their species among the stars, and had found themselves insulted and challenged by beings who considered humans to be nothing more than amusing primitives. Fire all weapons, Morrison commanded. What happened next would be studied by military strategists across the galaxy for centuries to come. The UCS Retribution didn't fire conventional projectiles or energy beams. Instead, it deployed weapons that treated the fundamental laws of physics as obstacles to be overcome rather than rules to be followed. The quantum torpedoes didn't explode in the traditional sense. They arrived at their targets and began rewriting the local structure of reality, convincing the universe that the matter composing the enemy ships had never been properly organized into solid objects. Entire sections of Draknari hulls simply forgot how to maintain their molecular cohesion and dissolved into constituent atoms. The matter disruptors were even more devastating. Rather than destroying their targets, they reached back through time and space to prevent the enemy vessels from ever having been constructed. Shields that had never been penetrated in decades of combat suddenly ceased to exist because the universe was persuaded that they had never been invented. Admiral Rodriguez watched in horror as his flagship's hull began to lose its structural integrity. Emergency alarms screamed throughout the bridge as sections of the ship simply ceased to be solid matter. What is happening? He screamed at his crew. What kind of weapons are these? Captain Voss tried to maintain her composure as she reported the impossible. Admiral, our shields aren't being destroyed. According to our sensors, they never existed in the first place. Our hull isn't taking damage. It's forgetting how to be metal. The communication system crackled with panicked transmissions from the other ships in the squadron. Bloodfang, this is Stormclaw. Our starboard weapons array just became a cloud of gas. Our armor plating is turning into individual molecules. This is Darkwing. My crew is reporting that entire corridors are becoming empty space. The ship's computer says those sections were never built. Rodriguez stared at the tactical display as ship after ship in his squadron began to disintegrate in ways that violated everything he understood about combat. The human vessel remained motionless in space, appearing completely unchanged while deploying weapons that seemed to rewrite the laws of physics around their targets. Emergency retreat, Rodriguez ordered. All ships withdraw immediately. But there was no retreat from weapons that operated outside normal space and time. The human ship had locked onto each Draknari vessel with targeting systems that could track objects across multiple dimensions simultaneously. Distance became meaningless when the weapons could strike their targets through folded space. The last transmission from the Black Wing Squadron came from Rodriguez himself, as his command bridge began to dissolve around him. How is this possible? What are these humans? The answer came from Commander Morrison's calm voice over the communication channel. We are what you get when you underestimate a species that has been preparing for this moment for over a century. We are what happens when you mistake human patience for human weakness. In 12 minutes, 5 ships that had never known defeat became scattered particles drifting through space. The weapons that destroyed them left no wreckage, no debris, and no evidence that the vessels had ever existed except for the testimony of billions of witnesses watching the battle from across the galaxy. The UCS Retribution hung motionless in space, completely undamaged and apparently unchanged. Only the empty space where 5 enemy warships had been provided any evidence that a battle had taken place at all. The silence in the Galactic Council chambers was so complete that the sound of individual breathing could be heard across the vast space. Hundreds of representatives from dozens of species stared at their viewing screens in stunned disbelief. Where moments before, they had been watching 5 of the most powerful warships in the galaxy prepare to destroy a single human vessel. Now they saw only empty space and scattered particles drifting in the void. Chancellor Vexstar stood frozen at his podium, his reptilian features locked in an expression of shock that his species had rarely displayed in recorded history. The blood had drained from his scales, leaving them a sickly gray color that indicated fear beyond anything his people normally experienced. His clawed hands gripped the podium so tightly that the metal was beginning to crack under the pressure. The Zephyrian delegate's crystalline form had lost all of its brilliant luster, and now appeared dull and gray, like ordinary glass. The Hive Queen of the Zerathi had stopped her constant clicking entirely, her 4 arms hanging motionless at her sides. Even the energy beings of the cosmic collective had dimmed to barely visible flickers as they struggled to process what they had witnessed. Commander Morrison's face appeared on the main viewing screen, his expression calm and professional, as if he had just completed a routine training exercise rather than the complete annihilation of an elite military squadron. Behind him, his crew continued their duties with the same casual efficiency they had shown throughout the engagement.
Chancellor Vexstar,
Morrison began, his voice carrying clearly through the silent chamber. I believe this concludes the combat demonstration you requested. Humanity formally requests reconsideration of our membership application to the Galactic Council. The words hit the assembled delegates like a physical blow. The species that had been laughing at human primitiveness 12 minutes earlier now found themselves staring at a military capability that defied everything they thought they knew about warfare. The Black Wing Squadron had been destroyed so completely that their sensors could find no trace that the ships had ever existed. Vexstar tried to speak but found that his voice had abandoned him entirely. The sight of his most elite warriors being erased from existence by weapons that operated beyond the laws of physics had shattered something fundamental in his understanding of galactic power structures. The first delegate to break the silence was Ambassador Krell of the Ursani Federation. The bear-like being rose slowly from his seat, his massive frame trembling with what appeared to be awe rather than fear. Commander Morrison, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. On behalf of the Ursani people, I formally propose immediate emergency admission of humanity to full council membership with all rights and privileges. The motion sent a ripple of activity through the chamber as delegates began to understand the implications of what they had witnessed. The Verdani representatives' leaves rustled in what passed for urgent communication among plant-based species. The machine intelligence of the steel worlds emitted rapid electronic sounds that translated as immediate agreement. Within moments, every species present was either seconding the motion or proposing even more generous terms for human membership. The Cosmic Collective offered to share their energy manipulation technologies, while the Silicon Lords proposed joint research, agreements that would have been unthinkable an hour earlier. Chancellor Vexstar finally found his voice, though it came out as a hoarse croak that bore little resemblance to his earlier confident tones. "The motion is acknowledged," he managed to say. "All in favor of immediate human admission to the Galactic Council." The vote was unanimous. Every hand, claw, tentacle, and energy projection in the chamber rose in agreement. Species that had been laughing at humanity now competed to offer alliance treaties and technology-sharing agreements. The transformation from mockery to desperate respect had taken exactly 12 minutes. Morrison nodded acknowledgement of the vote. "The United Earth Command appreciates the Council's decision. However, I believe there are some misconceptions about human capabilities that should be addressed before we proceed with formal membership procedures." Dr. Patricia Wells appeared beside Morrison on the screen, her presence adding an academic authority to what was about to be revealed. As Earth's leading xenosociologist, she had spent decades studying galactic politics and had predicted this exact scenario. "Honored delegates," she began, "what you have witnessed today was not the full extent of human military capability. It was a carefully planned demonstration designed to establish humanity's position in galactic civilization." The chamber erupted in nervous sounds that translated as alarm in a dozen different languages. If this devastating display was merely a demonstration, what were humans truly capable of? Dr. Wells continued with clinical precision. "Earth has been aware of galactic civilization for nearly a century. We have studied your technologies, your politics, and your military doctrines. We concluded that respect in this galaxy is earned through strength rather than diplomacy." Admiral Helen Carter joined the transmission from her underground command center, her presence adding military authority to the revelation. "Every human vessel that has left our solar system in the past 50 years has been equipped with defensive and offensive capabilities far beyond what we have displayed today. The UCS Retribution is one of our older exploration ships, not our most advanced military vessel." The implications sent waves of shock through the assembled delegates. If an older exploration ship could destroy the Blackwing Squadron, what could humanity's actual warships accomplish? Chancellor Vextar found the strength to speak again, though his voice still trembled. "How many ships does Earth possess with these capabilities?" Morrison's smile was cold and calculating. "Enough, Chancellor. More than enough." The Hive Queen finally found her voice and clicked out a question that every delegate was thinking. "What are humanity's intentions toward existing galactic civilizations?" Morrison looked directly at the camera, addressing not just the Council, but the billions of beings watching across the galaxy. "Humanity seeks peaceful coexistence and mutual prosperity with all intelligent species. We have no desire for conquest or domination. However, we will not tolerate being treated as inferior or being threatened by those who mistake our restraint for weakness." Admiral Carter stepped forward to deliver the message that would reshape galactic politics for generations to come. "The universe has learned today that humanity is not seeking permission to join galactic civilization. We are informing you that you are now part of ours." The statement sent another wave of shock through the chamber, but this time it was accompanied by something that had been absent before: respect. The species that had been laughing at human achievements now understood that they were dealing with a power that had been deliberately concealing its true capabilities. Morrison concluded the transmission with words that would be quoted in history books for millennia. "The galaxy challenged humanity to prove our worth through combat. We have done so. Now we offer you the same choice we were given: accept us as equals, or discover what happens when you continue to underestimate us." The screen went dark, leaving the council chamber in silence once again. But this was a different kind of silence, filled with the weight of a new reality. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted in 12 minutes, and every species present understood that they were now living in a universe where humanity was no longer the joke, but the power that others would have to reckon with. "Chancellor." Vexter looked around the chamber at delegates who had gone from mockery to terror to desperate respect in less than an hour. The laughter that had filled this space earlier now seemed like an echo from another age. a time when the galaxy thought it knew everything about the species living on a small blue world at the edge of civilized space. In the days that followed, Earth's orbital stations would be overwhelmed with requests for diplomatic meetings, trade agreements, and alliance treaties. The species that had once mocked human achievements now competed for the privilege of learning from the civilization that had spent a century preparing for this moment. The galaxy had learned a lesson that would never be forgotten. Never assume that human restraint means human weakness, and never laugh at a species that has been quietly preparing for war while the rest of the universe believed they were seeking peace.